is what champions are all about.
They could have been cast as yesterday's men. Now they can be Sunday's star. Yet again in the final. And England have to reflect on a gallant campaign. They are in the mix when it comes to going for trophies. And they never quite had the game under their control, even with the lead. The Jetsmith's brilliant tackle only came 2.5 minutes after England had scored. They've given absolutely everything. But Argentina still have everything to play for. England 1, Argentina 2. Football is so startling. However much you've seen, however much you've played, it still catches you out, it catches your breath.
Yeah. It certainly does. And it can particularly catch you out in World Cup football when you can almost see the finishing line. When the finishing tape isn't very far away, you think you're there, but you're never quite there. And particularly with some of the quality players that Argentina had on the field and the changes, credit to Lionel Scaloni, the changes that he made, Martin. Montiel in a right back position must have crossed 10 times into dangerous areas.
And made space for Messi as well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Nico Gonzalez down the left side. All of a sudden they had an added dimension to their play. They just needed to get back in the game. Enzo Fernandez, what a hit, what a strike, what a brilliant goal to get them back in it. And then they kept their foot to the floor and went and got the all-important second.
And that wasn't just two out of the blue goals. They hit the post. McAllister hit the post. What is great?
Oh yeah, look, they were very close to going level before they actually did. But it's amazing. It's amazing what they do, this Argentina team, when they're up against it, how they can just find what's required. It is quite astonishing.
You can't even feel looking at this triumph. Another turnaround triumph, so it's not unique, but it feels very special being in the semi-final. You can see that on the faces of the players. How the final itself could almost be an anti-climax. This has been worthy of the final.
Yes, no. Yeah. And I don't think England quite got, as you say, up to their absolute max, but boy, they weren't far away from getting into a final. They were very, very close. Extremely close. I think tactically, yeah, as you see tears on those terraces, you can understand them. I think tactically Tuchel got a lot right. But maybe he thought he was just going to see it out and get over the line. And as soon as Argentina equalised, it looked like then that England were going to struggle to hang on.
They refused to be beaten. They simply refused. And England, having got the lead and the potential to add to it, couldn't cope actually with the balls into the box. They couldn't set up those kind of counter-attacks that actually got them the goal in the first place. They were pinned back, and in the end, well, they just couldn't keep the world champions out. The Messi story goes on. It's another chapter here. And they brought on old players.
Yes, they
Rodrigo
did.
de Paul, Otamendi.
And Rodrigo de Paul did great playing centrally, and Montiel, as I mentioned, down the right, Otamendi at the back. You always know he'll put his head on anything.
Well, it'll take some time for the dust to settle on this one. Certainly back in South America, where they've done the continent proud as well as themselves proud, that's for sure, in what looked like it's going to be a European final. There is something in their soul when it comes to football. And England, well, the hurt goes on, but it shouldn't be hurt. It should be pride.
No, look, of course, they've shown themselves when their backs France were up against it against Mexico. How they can stand tall and stand very strong. England should be extremely proud of their efforts. They took the world champions extremely close. Couldn't have took them any closer.
Dancers, a bit of dad dancing in there, I think, but my goodness, they've got cause to dance. And Jude Bellingham's had a wonderful tournament. They've still got another game to play, of course. They will play France now. A bronze medal game. Guess who's got the superior player of the match by the sponsors here? It's up on the big screen. And it's not in Thomas Tuchel's squad. You only get one guess.
And I think the reason why he gets those awards, Martin, is just those decisive moments. He's so often involved in those decisive moments. The crosses into the box, the assists, if it's not the goals. And he never had a kick for the first 30 minutes of the game, really, Lionel Messi. But when something has to happen, when you're looking for someone to produce something special, it's always him.
And what is so engaging about this, Andy, and I share your thoughts, what a privilege it is to have held microphones through this 2 hours of World Cup celebration of the tournament, really, of the winners and losers. You have to have that. But the game has ended as a proper football match. Yeah, there was a little skirmish at the final whistle,
right,
but it was won by football.
Correct. Yes, it was.
And football is the winner.
Yeah. Whichever team you're supporting today, that's riveting, pulsating football. It really is at its best. It doesn't always have to be the beautiful stuff either. Football can be so exciting to watch and such an ordeal for fans watching it all around the world if it's played like we just saw it with 100% guts and commitment from both sets of players.
I suppose it could think, not now, but in the future, we're very lucky that we played Messi before. Very true.
I think there might be one or two new ones going on.
Well, they are from Argentina. We've been at games where this is the third Argentina game we've been at, Andy. There've been a lot of adopted supporters from locally, I think. But when the big games come around, the big exodus from Buenos Aires happens.
Yeah. Not sure there's a team that's been better supported in terms of numbers than Argentina.
And the England fans, a lot of them staying to honour their heroes, not maybe fallen heroes in the last 20 minutes of the game today, but definitely heroes for the ride that they've given the supporters all across the USA and down into Mexico, of course, which will live long in the memory. They come from behind victory there. But this was one where they led and they lost. And that's a drum that will be... You won't want to be in the next hotel room, would you? And of course, there'll be some bragging rights when Manchester United's Sandro Martinez gets back to club football. Jude Bellingham heading off to Spain, who might be World Cup winners, you know. But what a tournament he's had. They can't take it in, really.
Oh, look, they know how close they were again for their dream to be shattered. They were close. They were one down and up against it, and England looking dangerous. And they had to dig remarkably deep. Don't forget that domestic seasons for these players has long gone, but these World Cups, they're not easy to get to this sort of stage and keep finding the energy required as that Argentina group of players did with 20 minutes left on the clock. They really had to find something from the gods, and once more they did.
From a football god himself. But these are raw emotions. Anyone who's played football knows it can take you to places that very few other things can. And to win at this level, in this way, it's almost indescribable. But what we have is wonderful pictures from our camera crew showing you the emotion. It doesn't need extra words from Andy and myself. Just look at them. Spain players will be thinking, well, let them celebrate, let them keep celebrating like this. But there's nothing more adrenaline fueling than winning. So they'll be ready for Sunday. Messi, of course, lived most of his life in Spain.
Yes, great game in prospect, Martin.
Absolutely.
Great game in prospect. Such a clever, brilliantly structured and organised team with a real ability to shut the back door as well as score goals.
Well, king of the castle. Argentina in Atlanta have been amazing. To be on the receiving end, they can say they were here, even when you will say we were here. I mean, we're neutral, and it's just a privilege to be here. And it's World Cups that take so much organised. They always attract criticism, but they bring you this brilliance, and they bring the world together. Even England and Argentina have got closer together. There's a bond from this game, I'm sure. Well, I hope I'm sure.
No, I think you will be right, Martin. I'm sure you will. Look, I've seen England fans still staying there now, applauding the Argentina players out there on the field. It's been that sort of day.
Well, it feels like we played extra time. They will feel that played extra time. But you don't want to leave the pitch when something happens like this. The connection between this huge section of Argentina support and this huge collection of wonderfully talented Argentina players, and committed and courageous. And they march north from Atlanta with retaining the trophy. Remember, only Brazil and Italy have ever done that, and that's a long time ago. In a modern day sense, it would be an amazing achievement. Well, it's been passed down the generations. He can't stop smiling. Energetic celebrations come from the younger players. Suddenly realise he's got a final to play. Sandro Martinez beats the drum with, of course, the number 10 on it. Celso, bare-chested there, scored that wonderful free kick against Jordan, then got injured. Maybe those blue shirts, solid blue, worked again.
Yeah, certainly did today, Martin.
They asked to wear them.
Yep. They made it work, didn't they? Outstanding performance today, Martin, as well, didn't they? Not only Messi, obviously, against the superior player of the match. Romero's defensive work was excellent.
And Enzo, who we thought England might exploit defensively, but they couldn't deal with him with their own defence.
It was absolutely terrific. Taliafico in that left-back position. I mentioned the substitutes, the effect they had. Alexis McAllister could have had a couple of goals. Very, very close to scoring twice. Leandro Paredes again, very good. Emi Martinez, when he had to get his hands on the ball, the goalie was solid and pretty safe all round. No, they had a lot of players playing with an 8 today.
You remember Lautaro Martinez didn't score in the 2022 World Cup. He finally got a penalty against Jordan, didn't he? And he had a rough time with injury. Alvarez took his place.
Correct.
Well, he's had a special moment here.
Yes, he has.
In a semi-final, no less. Captain of Inter, have had their own trophy success in the last Serie A season. No one's going home. Well, England aren't going home. Maybe some of the fans will, but to play for the bronze medal, they've done that before. But it's not quite the same, particularly when he got so close. And I did say, Croatia came back late as well, didn't they, in 2018?
Yes, they did, yeah.
When I said it, it was more a commentator's line rather than anticipating, being smart that it was going to happen again.
No.
But it did happen again. It's time to start the recovery, by the way. Where's the cool down?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe the sit down equals the cool down. Oh, that young man has got plenty more World Cups to follow. Oh, this was Messi's right foot.
Look at that. That is so inch perfect, Martin, and it's begging Lautaro Martinez just to climb and just put his head on it, knock it into the back of the net. Just the most sublime delivery.
Some of that pain, I'm sure, comes to mind of he's got his medal from 2022, but he wasn't the one that people were talking. They were talking about Alvarez. He scored 4 goals as a youngster. And Scaloni, well, you still have to have a coach from your nationality to win the World Cup. It'll either be Luis de la Fuente or Lionel Scaloni.
Good changes Scaloni made today. Really good changes. Maybe they're quite obvious in some ways, but good changes at the right time. Had to do it.
The interesting was Otamendi, as if to get him on. I mean, I know Lisandro Martinez was on a yellow card, but so was Romero.
Yeah, they were.
I've got some facts and figures for you. Argentina finally getting a wrestle-on possession and on the attempted goal, which was very short supply from both countries really in the first half. And the attempts on target, 5 were enough to get 2. So we know the final. We now know the bronze medal game as well. But eyes on that Spain versus Argentina fixture. If you don't know, start spreading the news. New York, or New York, New Jersey. That's where the climax will take place.